Hi, y'all. Oh yeah, Corvairwild here. I'm not used to not handling the camera. This is so weird. After 10,000 videos, somebody else is in charge of the camera. What we're doing here is we're going to show you what new rust-proofing product called Woolwax. You got a fancy vehicle that you just brought back from Phoenix, or a yuckin' XL that just got picked up at the local dealership, and you want to prevent it from rusting, you buy yourself a gallon of Woolwax or a 5-gallon pail if you get lots of Yukons, and you slather the stuff on. I mean, we were doing this earlier today. It was pouring through the funnel more effectively. Uh-oh, I think we overloaded it. We're back. All right. So I overfilled the jar, and I used Mama's teaspoon to suck it out of the large Walmart funnel, which is made in USA. So I've got this really interesting apparatus that my assistant, my camera assistant, invented for me. How do you like that? Is that cool or what? 2 jack stands, a $5 funnel from Walmart, Wally World, WW. And it just tips backwards. And I've got the bottle that you can get from Woolwax. I've got it inside an oatmeal container screwed to a 7/16 piece of OSB oriented strand board that just tips right back in. Pretty cool. So you want to fill the bottle up within a ½ inch of the top, because when you put the sucking tube in from, where is it? Way down here, over yonder. When you change bottles, that tube will cause the bottle to overflow. So you got to stop a little bit before the top. So I could go over this in the exact order that you do it, but that would make too much sense, wouldn't it? Let's start from the beginning. A long, long time ago in a faraway land, a gentleman was selling fluid film, and then he discovered a better product, and the product is right there, Woolwax. And the smell is 99% gone, the consistency is thicker, and it works. But you've got to coat your vehicle when it's brand new or when it hasn't seen any winters, because once the salt, calcium chloride, call it what you want, you can pickle your cucumbers in it, you can de-ice your streets. You want to coat your vehicle before it gets exposed to road salt. You can wash it off all you want, but it's really hard. Best thing is to do it when you bring it back from out west and you're driving in the frozen north of Chicago, Minnesota, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Connecticut. They all use road salt to keep the roads safe, but it also destroys the vehicle. 10 years, the vehicle is done. I've been using another product, and now I use Woolwax. And I know it works because I've used it. This gentleman produces it locally, removes the smell, makes it thicker, and sells you everything you need. Flip the camera around, and I'll show you the other products that he sells, and they all work. We've got Woolwax in a 12-ounce can with a hand sprayer that's made in the USA. Can gun made in USA. So we've got cans, and we've also got a sprayer top for getting into little nooks and crannies and crevices. That looks like 2 feet long with a tiny sprayer end, and I won't spray it because the camera will get rust-proof. Little sprayer button for the top. We're fully accessorized. Go on over here. I've got plank. You can tell we're in a fancy production studio here. Everything's hung on with baling wire and tree vines. 2 lengths of tubes that you can order from Mr. Kellsportproducts.com. Kellsportproducts.com, and it's right there in light print. Kellsport. Kellsportproducts.com, and you've got 2 hoses for sticking into nooks and crannies and crevices. Little sprayer ends. So there's little holes, one in the end, and a bunch around the circumference that spray into all the nooks and crannies. So you stick it into the frame reinforcements, into the frame rails, above the fuel tank, you name it, there's lots of places underneath the vehicle. And if your local garage tells you they use the competing product called Crown, and the Crown guys ain't gonna like me, but it ain't any good. There's another word for it called J-U-N-K, junk. So focus the camera down there. We're gonna now clean up the big mess we just made with the Woolwax that just spilled all over the concrete. Yep, we've got the best rust-proof concrete. I gotta clean up the mess now. I think it's time to take a break. Thank goodness I've got a very good editor. Cleaned up my mess, and now I'm assuming the position lying on my back because even though I've got a $10,000 hoist, I'm not using it, just so I could show you that I'm a typical homeowner farmer. Lying on my back with my Woolwax, my trouble light, and my 24-inch extension hose with the little holes all the way around the circumference. I'm going to stick it inside the body cavity reinforcements, pull the trigger of this made in Italy, specially made for Woolwax gun, and fire away. And you don't really see it coming out of the hole, so I'll pull it out and you can see it spraying. I'm getting it in the face. You'll have to trust me on this one. You'll have to trust Bob at Kellsport Products, or Alex, that when you pays your money, he gets your product. You can try other stuff. Good luck. I've tried them all. This is the stuff that I use and nothing else. And I'm spraying it in the cavity, and the more you spray, the better you are. On this vehicle, this large Yukon XL Suburban, I'm going to probably use 3 gallons, which is 3 times 4, 12 liters. So if you're smart, you'll buy a few extra of these bottles, maybe 10 or 12 of them, and you heat up the Woolwax next to your little heater. Don't melt anything, be careful. Heaters cause fires, be careful. Put the heater 6 inches away from the Woolwax, let it heat up for several hours. Rotate the container a couple of times, and it'll pour into the bottles using your $5 Made in USA Walmart funnel. And then you'll be able to have your bottles ready so you don't have to stop production. Fill the bottles. And there goes my air compressor. You'll need a minimum 20, 30 gallon air compressor. How big would that be? The size of the trunk of your car? Well, that doesn't tell you very much. I'll show you the compressor in a few minutes. I've got an oil-free Cobalt made in China compressor from Lowe's. Home Depot sells them, Ace Hardware sells them. You can buy a used one on Craigslist. This is an oil-free one, so they make a bunch of noise. So you can't do this with a pancake compressor. You can't do it with cans of Woolwax that you buy at the store or from Kellsport Products. You've got to get these 1-quart jars and the sprayer and the hose. There's also a brass tip that goes on the end for spraying the larger areas. This is for getting into cavities. And you've got to spray, 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 because if you're not spraying everywhere, the salt's going to get there. And if the salt gets there, it's going to rust. So this is the only product that works. There's nothing else. I got this right from Kellsport Products. They ship for free. They ship quickly by FedEx. Quickly and efficiently, and this is the best product. It has practically no odor, no smells, and the dripping is next to zero. It won't make a mess. I've got tarp on the driveway here on the concrete pad, so in case I tip over my bottle like I did earlier, outside the tarp, because you will get some residue that drops onto the area underneath where you're working. So this is getting kind of boring. We'll stop the video in a minute. I'll come back with the brass tip on the end and I'll show you how to spray the large surfaces. Reporting from somewhere in North America, north of Mexico and south of the Arctic Circle, Corvairwild, featuring Woolwax Rust Preventative. The only product to use from Kellsportproducts.com. Go there, click on it, and you'll do the same thing that I'm doing with successful, wonderful results. A no-rust vehicle after 10 years, 20 years, it'll require a bit of touch-up where the water splashes around the wheel wells and the front frame, where you may brush through some deep snow when you're off-roading or when you're driving on the road with lots of snow. And we get plenty of that. If you want to keep your vehicle rust-proof, this is the only stuff to use. It stays wet and liquid and creeps. It keeps on working while you're sleeping.